One of the most profound things I've learned in my life is that it's actually not about my hair at all. I've spent a lifetime trying to cover up who I am. And as much as I love a good external transformation, and I do, I much more love a heart transformation. Join me as I share how I work to heal my heart, find happiness, and embrace our hair. Oh my land, welcome back to episode 29 of the podcast, you guys. How are we here? I'm so excited to be back. So last week we talked about, we're in this 4-part series of all the things that I'm struggling with, which is really fun, and you're coming along for the journey. Last week we talked about, hold on, let me look at my notes. We talked about creating spaces that we can feel at peace and inspired. And you had a homework assignment last week. So if you didn't do your homework, what the heck? Listen, I'm your girlfriend, and I'm telling you right now to do your dang homework. So some things in life we just listen to for fun, we just read for fun, we just do for fun, and some things we listen to for doing. This is a doing podcast. We're doing the hard dang work to dig up the issues that are driving us crazy and making us sick of ourselves, okay? We want to do the work to get healthy, to live a whole freaking life, to be serious about where we're going. And that's what this podcast is about. We're in season 2, second round in, and we're just here for it, okay? We're here for the discovery of self. We're here to get healthy and whole. We're here to learn to love ourselves and others better. We're here to understand that the creator of the universe is for you and not against you. Woo-hoo! That stuff gets me fired up. Last week we talked about, as every episode we do, the power of the lenses that we put on, walking through life with our prescriptions based on our past, stepping into our creating all these boundaries for our future because of the way we see things based on the way we've always seen things. And we're here to break that up. So this week, what are we talking about? This week we're talking about, oh my land, keep the notes over. Oh, being present. So I talked about, we had been at church camp, right? And the whole week at church camp was about being present and active. And how do we get present, you guys? This is a big struggle for many, not just me, not just you, but many. We're living in the most anxious time in history. People are more anxious than ever. Kids have more anxiety than ever. More women are on medications than ever. And I'm not saying you don't need those, absolutely not saying that, but what is going on in the cultivation of our lives, that this is in our soil, this anxiousness. And so we're going to dive into it. What do we got to do to be present? And what does the Bible tell us a little bit? We're going to talk a little bit about that. And again, if you're not a Christian, if you don't know Jesus, you're all right. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. I'm not going to be too churchy, okay? I ain't going to beat you with the Bible. I'm just going to give you a little insight from the Word. We're also going to talk about, this whole series is based on my third time around, Brendon Burchard's Motivation Manifesto. Get these 2 books if I could make a recommendation. Get yourself a Bible and get yourself this book. And we're going to go through it together. Consider this our book study. I'm going to share how I struggle in these areas in hopes that it helps you to realize you're not alone, because that's what it's all about, okay? You're not alone. None of us are alone. And you are unique, but you're not that unique in your struggles, because we're all just trying to figure it out. So how do we be present? And I'm going to read page 75, and we're going to start there. And if I didn't say it yet, thank you for being here. I know that your time is precious, and I appreciate you showing up to hang out with me. I really do. Okay. The half-experienced life. Ooh, we do not want that. So much of our lives go unnoticed. We miss the sunrises and the sunsets. We don't sense how we're feeling for hours and often days at a time. We didn't see the kind stranger help the elderly man cross the street. We missed that appreciative smile on our spouse's face. We didn't sense our coworker's desperation because we never paused to look her in the eyes or ask about her day. Locked indoors and hidden behind machines, we missed the entire season. The winter passed and we didn't play in the snow. The spring bloomed and we overlooked the flowers. The summer and the fall passed so quickly, and we don't even remember the trees changing or feel satisfied with the time we spend outside. Each day there are a million divine wonders, acts of human kindness, and beautiful sights. Yet we are too checked out or too busy thinking about yesterday or tomorrow to even sense the magic of the now. We mustn't be so numb or absent-minded as to allow ourselves to suffer the fate and misery of those choosing a half-interested, half-engaged life. We mustn't stay oblivious to the key moments and the circumstances of our lives. There is more pulse and beauty and meaning to be had. With enlightenment comes the realization that the natural foe to life is not distant death, but detachment from living. Reality is only here, now, and we must learn to face it, feel it, and form it. You guys, page 75, Motivation Manifesto. So much of our lives go unnoticed, especially now in this fast-paced world where we can be on these screens all the time. I say this every episode. Thank you for spending your screen time with me. But also, get off your dang screen. Open your eyes. Look around you. What's happening? The Bible says that day after day and night after night, the heavens declare the glory of God. The universal language of the world is that the sun rises and sets, that we can see the stars in the sky, that the leaves, I'm looking outside because it's so awesome. It's summertime here in Michigan, and even Kid Rock knows that's a good time, summertime in northern Michigan. I love this season because everything's in bloom, and you guys, we can miss it, all of it, not knowing that this moment, this day is a gift. Even if you are challenged to be happy today, even if things are not going the way that you want, even if you're dealing with great uncertainty, you are here. And this moment is valuable for your life. It is forming you. And our inability to deal with how we feel, my inability to deal with my feelings, causes me to be formed by the social media things that I see, other people's highlight reels, we know this. And it causes me to doubt my own purpose and plan and goodness. But my goodness, you have a plan for your life. In this present moment, today, you have an opportunity to wake up and realize that your life is happening for you, that you have work to do. We don't want to wake up and realize that we have lived a half-experienced life, that we've missed out on many of the opportunities given to us because we've scrolled out and zoned out. You do not need to. This is going to sound like judgment. It's coming at you a little bit. You do not need to rewatch episodes of a TV show. You do not need to rewatch a movie. I'm here for the goodness of the fact that we live in a time where you can watch a TV show on demand. But if you've already seen it, you've done that. Don't relive that. Move on. Go for a walk. Get outside. Call a friend. We have to zap our bodies back to these present moments. So how do we get present, you guys? And there's a little bit more inside of this that I wanted to share. The present is all there is. Motivation and life itself cannot be sent separate from the now. Without bringing our full consciousness to the moment, we become a slave to impulse or tired inclinations. From the space of disattachment emerges all that we disdain: the barely present parent, the half-hearted lover, the unfocused student, and the absent leader. It's time to become more alert, more engaged in the world. As the next moment of our lives unfold, we can choose to pay more attention to how we feel, how others feel, into the blessings all around us. We can give others our full beam of focus and affection. We can open our hearts, our minds, and our spirits to what the universe whispers. We can choose once more to be in the moment, open and alive. The only enemy in this effort is ourselves. I got to keep eye contact. To gain greater presence, we will need to overcome our habit of living in the past or the future. And you will need to become more aware of the roles and responsibilities we can choose each and every moment as free, conscious, and motivated people. The reason most of us lack vitality is that we are unconscious or unobservingly directing our minds to the past or the future at the expense of fully living now. So can we just take a minute and pause there, my beautiful friends? We must begin to release the past. So much of our fear comes from the past or things that we're filling ourselves in and what we think is going to happen in the future. And I've watched this over and over and over again, and I've been victim of it myself. But because we fear what might be, we quit living what could be. I'm going to repeat that. Because we fear what might be, we quit living what could be. We live in fear of being rejected, so we don't ever get into the game because we might be rejected. Well, what if you're not? We fear looking stupid, so we never speak up or ask someone to lunch. Why not? We have to be willing to engage in our discomfort. It is only when I am uncomfortable that I actually shift and change. I've been comfortable saying that I'm sorry, but wanting to push forward for a relationship. It's also uncomfortable to choose to leave a relationship that no longer serves you, to be present in the moment. I'm really working on this. Like, I do a lot on the internet. I share a lot on my stories on Instagram during the day because I really want people to not feel alone. And it's such a catch-22 because that will happen all the while my kids are with me, and I realize that I'm updating this thing. My kids aren't on the internet that much. Well, they're on the internet, but they don't share their own stuff. But sometimes I can miss out on their wanting me to turn towards them because I'm turned towards you guys. It's all from not a negative spot. So I could just say, well, I really feel like someone needs to hear this, but I also need to be in tune with the moment that I catch when my husband needs me to turn towards him, or my kids need me to turn towards them, or a friend needs a phone call. And what are you missing out on because you're isolating yourself from this moment? What are you numbing out from? What is a feeling that you need to feel? What is something in your past that you need to let go so that you can move on? Another excerpt, this time from our book, the Bible. And really, this one's real good. Because when I think about all the things I could be worried about. So I'm struggling in the present moment for a couple of reasons. So before I get to this, I'm struggling with all the changes in my family right now. And that's just real. I felt like last year was the best year. Everything before March, I felt like my personal business was growing really well. I felt like my marriage was in like this really beautiful spot. I felt like my kids were all growing up and embracing their lives. And I felt like I had really created this balance, but I can't live in the past, right? So things changed. And the truth was that was only my reality, because remember these glasses. So my husband's reality was that he wasn't loving his job. So for me, I loved it because it created freedom. So I got my glasses back on if you're listening and not watching. So from my lens, it was great. It was perfect. Everything was going well. There was no rocking the boat. Well, my husband's lens was that his job wasn't going well and he wasn't that happy. Well, in order for him to make a change, it was going to have to rock the boat because we're in the same boat. So when one person gets up on the boat, it rocks the boat. And we can tend to put on our lens that this is making me uncomfortable. And that causes me to struggle with where is this going to end and how long is this going to take? And every day I wake up with a little bit of fear in my chest of what if this doesn't work, or what if he's not happy, or same with my girls, right? Like they're all moving into their next, and that can cause some stuff, right? You know, my Sophie is now gone off on this grand adventure, which if you tuned into episodes 11 and 12 of the podcast, I talked to my Sophie about. She was afraid to step out of her comfort zone. Really, really afraid. She talked about how she was an introverted person, but believed that introversion wasn't the same thing as isolation. And she really wanted to learn to live outside of her comfort zone. And now, fast forward, I don't know, 4 months later, she's looking at joining the military. She has a meeting for her next steps for that, right? And we're praying that if that's not what's supposed to happen, that the door will close, but she's moving full steam ahead as if the doors are open. And I'm having a hard time staying in the present moment because I don't know what that's going to look like. Where's she going to go? I don't really get into politics, but when my kid is going to be led by whoever's leading our country, and I don't feel super comfortable right now with any of the above options, that's all I'm going to ever say about that. I get worried. I allow worry to settle in. And there's two really amazing things that I could choose. I could choose my summer of Sophie, which was an encouragement from a client where she's home right now. This will probably be the last summer that she ever lives at home, right? And before she left, I was worried she wasn't going to get a job. Like, you just worry. I was worried that she wasn't going to be happy. I was worried that she wasn't going to find what she needed. And I kind of missed out on asking, like, how was your day? And do you want to go play pickleball? And you want to go for a walk? And just like being in the moment, because the truth was she wasn't always going to be at home, right? And now I'm worried about what's going to happen to the country. And is my kid going to be deployed? And she hasn't even gotten in the dang service yet. Do you see how this works? So that can cause me down this trail instead of looking at it and going, man, this is what we prayed for. We prayed that she would become brave, that she wouldn't be afraid of the big wide world, that she would step into with courage and assuredness of her next steps. And she's doing that. So see how we ask for something, we get it, and then we worry about it. Gosh dang it. You know, each of my kids is at a fork. I feel like we're always at a fork. You know, we're at the next step and they're doing really brave, cool things. And I worry about them because they're my children. And so I struggle with, how do I wake up today? Because I believe that today is a gift, and remind myself to engage with my kids today, and to remind myself of the kind of wife that I want to be to my husband. So today we are absolutely fine. We're actually better than fine. But I can get caught up in all the what ifs of the uncertainties. And the truth is that we could have everything planned out to perfection, and an uncertainty might swipe us side railed off the guard. You just don't know. So the better thing is to be present in the moment of what I am in control of. So remember last week, I have created a home that I work on to be a place of rest to the people who live here. We have Legos out on the back table all the time because that brings joy to my two girls. And the old me wouldn't have done that because that's messy. But I'm grateful that it's out. I have spent an absorbent amount of money on fuzzy blankets for cuddling up and cozying up. And really working on creating a sanctuary in my bedroom for my husband and I to connect and try to disconnect from our cell phones and to see each other. You know, these things are important and bring me back to the present moment. You know, just this morning, Adam and I freaked out. I freaked out about the future right before I'm supposed to make this podcast. And I wanted to stay stuck in that moment, and instead I followed him outside. I'm sure he thought I was following him outside to nag at him, but I just asked for a hug. I just wanted to be connected to him in this moment. I don't always have the right words to say. Usually I don't, only when I'm on the podcast. But I wanted to feel him next to me. And I wanted him to know that I love him. And that I wanted him to feel that he was supported. And so I needed to check out of the self-loathing, because I was going to sit in my office while I pulled off to work and feel sorry for myself. And instead I'm like, he is my bestest friend. He is the person that I love the most. And what do I need? And often we're afraid to say what we need because we're afraid we'll be rejected. So instead we're passive aggressive. I needed a hug. And I was a little afraid maybe you wouldn't want to hug me, but guess what he did? He hugged me right back. So these checkpoints can get us back to being connected to one another. Ask for what you need in that moment. I'm feeling lonely right now. I really need to go for a walk with you, honey, or stepping out with your kids. But the worry keeps us blocked from the present moment, which we look back and remember things through our lens. So it's not actually the real of what happened. It's partly real, but it's not totally real, because we're feeling through our feelings this world. But worry is the one thing we shouldn't have. And so I'm going to read from the Bible. Welcome to your Girlfriend Chronicles. Matthew 26:25. Therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life. What will you eat, or what will you drink? Nor about your body, what will you put on? Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap, nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not more valuable than they? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to the span of your life? And why are you anxious about clothing? Well, Lord, because some of us have a fashion sense. Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed as one of those. I mean, really, step outside and look. It's quite splendid. But if God so clothed the grass of the field, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? Therefore, do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or what shall we wear? But first, seek the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all of these things shall be added to you. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. So there you have it, little Brendon Burchard nuggets and a little gospel nuggets, okay? So here's what I get from that. How do we get present? We take a deep breath and we look around. Look at how all of the things around us are cared for. The grass grows, the sun shines, the birds, the flowers. And I know you're saying, yeah, but what about this and what about that? And here's the truth. Most of the things I'm anxious about are my expectations of how I will be cared for. Do I have enough money? Do I have enough thrifted clothing? Do I have the right jewelry? Is my hair okay? Is my family going to live forever? I'm craving immortality. I'm kind of like storing up all these things in hopes that they will suffice my need, but they create more worry. Then I have worry about all the stuff I've generated and created. I have worry about the kids that have been given to me. I have anxiousness about the marriage that I have. I have bitterness growing because I'm anxious about feeling disconnected, where all of it requires a present stillness, an opportunity to slow down and take a deep breath in. To be vulnerable, to ask the question of, what do I need now? What am I feeling now? I'm feeling unsettled. The antidote to that is not that you are going to get the answer that everything's going to be okay. The antidote to that is that you feel connected to the person that you love. It's the truth. I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. Well, what is the one thing you can do? Generally, it's connect with a person. find an opportunity to reach out to someone that you love. Stay in the present moment. I'm reading my notes. In order for us to be present, we must realize first that we are loved and that we are cared for. We need to take a hard, quick reality check on, are we doing all that we can to surrender where we're at to the goodness of God? Do we believe that we're going to be taken care of and that we're worthy of love? Super important. And if you don't know that right now, please, please, please read Psalms 139. Christian or not, read the whole chapter, Psalms 139. Whether you believe it or not, read it. I'm telling you, Mama Cassie is saying, read it. And know that you are worthy of love, that exactly where you're at in this present moment is a gift. That's why it's called the present. Be here. Be engaged. Step out of yourself for a moment. Slap your dang self silly if you need to. Get up. Get out. And do something for someone else today to get you in this moment. And look for the goodness. Look for the person. If we are only watching the internet right now and all the things going on in the political world and in the world, they want us to believe that we need to be afraid, and maybe we need to be aware. But I promise you, if you get more local, I've said this before, get your feet to the ground where you live and look around. You will always find goodness around you because people are good and good things are happening, and you can be a part of that. So I hope you know today that you are loved, that you are worthy of love, that if you're not okay, remember, one step forward every day gets you closer to another day. And that the Bible gives us permission to not be anxious about tomorrow. Gives us a little permission to be anxious about today. He knows. But to trust in through gratitude and grateful eyes, changing our lenses. Take off your lens of fear. Let's just take it off for a minute and say, God, will you show us exactly in this moment your goodness? I guess this is where I ask you to subscribe to my channel, to follow me on social, and to listen wherever podcasts can be found. And join me every Tuesday at 2 as we unpack how to heal your hair, your heart, and your happiness.